New Year, wonderful humans, and welcome back to Board Game Dads. My name is Anthony,
My name is Eric.
and we are the Board Game Dads, back with another podcast slash videocast episode number 9, January
23.
2023. That's right. It is a new year, and we are very excited to kick things off with the first podcast episode of the new year. But I've got to take these off because I cannot see anything, to be perfectly honest with you.
I just find them annoying. I don't wear glasses, so I'm not really used to it.
Well, I mean, these don't even have like a rest for like your nose. They're just kind of like back there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
They look cool, though.
Yeah, it's a good gimmick.
Yep.
So 2023 has started, which means Christmas is behind us now. How was your daily family Christmas?
Our daily family Christmas was great. We did lose heat on Christmas Eve, so we did not have a Christmas Eve night and Christmas Day morning. We got it back around maybe like 1 o'clock on Christmas Day. But we had one electric heater that ended up being enough. We kept it in the kids' room until we went to sleep, and then we had to take it out of there, and we just brought it into the living room, slept downstairs in front of the tree, waiting for Santa. And then, when they woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, we went up there. They had plenty of blankets too, but we went up there, brought them downstairs. We had a great morning. We started the routine. We did stockings, and then breakfast, and then half the presents, and then Logan had to take a nap. And Zoe, when I told her we had to wait to open the rest of the presents, was so cool. She was like, okay, like I'm over here like, well, maybe we can open just one, and she's like, okay. So yeah, she was amazing. He was even Logan was really, he was great. They both had a great Christmas. Me and Melissa had a great Christmas, and not a lot of games getting played, but we did get a lot for Christmas.
Yeah, we got quite the haul here too. It was kind of a combination of Christmas gifts, and then a couple days ago, Barnes and Noble had a crazy 50% off sale. Picked up a couple things there too. And then, of course, there's always a Kickstarter
Right.
or two coming in to the household. So, yeah, our Christmas was great as well. A lot of traveling, a lot of family, a lot of gifts, a lot of craziness. And, as dads, the aftermath is it's a lot to handle, right? Like you're building stuff, then you're reading directions, you're finding
Yeah.
batteries, you're
I'll tell you one thing that I learned this year as a dad that I will not do next year. It wasn't that big of a deal, but like I noticed it. So Zoe, first it was, she's excited that she got all these things to open. She finally got everything open. And like, all the toys that she's been getting throughout Christmas, we're just moving over to the side. We're just moving over to the side. And then once we're done opening everything, then we start opening these other, like open packaging and, take this toy out.
right.
And then at a certain point, I started putting them away. Be like, oh, well, this goes with the Paw Patrol stuff, and this goes over here with the. And so, like, when she looked to, the next day, the day after Christmas, or like later that night, when she looked to the area that used to have all of these new toys that she just got, they had all been cleaned up and put away. And she was like, you got rid of my toys. I was like, no, they're just. So now I have to make sure to keep everything out
Yeah.
by itself for just a couple of days, just to maximize the excitement.
Yeah, for sure. There's
Just a tip.
yeah, no, that's I mean, even thinking back as a kid, there was that
Oh yeah,
aura of newness.
yeah.
Those things got attention for a while. But yeah, it's exciting to have our younger kids obviously, but the older kids now are by the 3.5, both of them at this point, 3.5. And it definitely, I noticed a huge difference this year for the excitement of Christmas and
Oh yeah,
the act of the gift giving and
and
receiving and things like that.
that's only going to rub off on the other one.
Yeah, of course, and it's always only going to get better as the
Yep.
years go on, until a certain point when it's kind of changes a little bit. But we're going to soak it up as much as we can now, for sure.
So just another quick thing about Christmas. The last time when we did our Christmas special video, we talked about the each of us gave 5 Christmas games that we were excited to play, and I unfortunately did not get to 3 of them. And so I just wanted to also say, Super Scale Pinball. Next year, I'll definitely have to play it.
Same.
the Kringle Caper, like the little escape room game,
Mhm.
next year as well. And the advent calendar that we were doing for the whole month, that we ended up stopping at a certain point, and then it just became too much. And then we tried it again, and then we knocked out like 6 or 7 days, and we still have like another like week's worth of exit game clues and stuff
Mm.
to go through, and we will, but didn't work out that great.
You gonna finish it though?
Oh yeah, but we
Okay,
probably won't do another one of that type.
got it.
Yeah,
Cool.
until we have the time. Right now, the kids are young. It's not happening.
So January is upon us. It's a new year. We do talk about, well, not necessarily just us, but a lot of talk goes on now about resolutions, New Year's resolutions, and
Hmm.
things you want to try to do. And I'll echo something that I've heard Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower say very often about New Year's resolutions, and that he doesn't really believe in them because you don't have to start something at a certain day of the year, right? You can set goals for yourself whenever you want. And then it becomes a sort of, oh, I feel like such a failure because I didn't, follow through with my resolution, or I stopped on, this day or whatever. So, it's a term that gets tossed around a lot. But for board gaming specifically, a lot of people do a challenge. The 10 by
Right.
10 challenge is extremely popular, where you play 10 games 10 times throughout the year. My wife and I tried it 2 years ago and got really far, but fell just short of finishing. But this year we are determined. We set our games yesterday, and we actually played our
Nice.
first one tonight
All
before this
right.
very recording. I was up first on the leaderboard. Just saying. Just saying. But yeah, we're excited about that. And how about you guys? Because last year you did a unique games challenge.
We did. It was fun. We did 100 different games to play throughout the year,
Hmm.
and we finished it by, I don't know, maybe September, before Halloween at least. And it definitely limited our game choices for a good chunk of the year because we just wanted to make sure that we hit 100. I don't know how many different games we played last year. We didn't put any research
Sure.
into it, so we just wanted to do this. And then there's a whole bunch of games that we didn't play a second time, and now we got to go back and play them a second time, and we don't remember them as well. So now I have to read the rule book like again in order to play a second game. Whereas if we had played it within a week or two of having played it, or even right afterwards, it would be fresh in our minds, and
Right. Right.
that gets annoying because I don't do well with reading rule books. I have a learning disability, and I don't learn well from reading. So like I can watch a video and come back and reference for certain rules into the rule book, but otherwise like it takes me 2 or 3 times as long as a normal human being to learn a game just from reading the rule book.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I wouldn't. That doesn't qualify you as abnormal. I think there's a lot of people that have the same
No,
experience as you.
I'm just saying, but like because of that,
Yeah.
I'd rather try to play the game a few times in a row and then put it on the shelf for a while, so I'm more likely to remember more things.
Sure. And in
And we didn't
general, you would
we
say
didn't get
you.
to do that with the challenge.
Well, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
In general, would you say that you then learn games better? I mean, besides a video, like let's say if you learn a game for the first time in person, the person teaches you the game, you feel you would be better capable of teaching that game to someone else then, as opposed to if you learned it through the rule book yourself?
Oh, I think it depends on the game.
Okay.
I think there's certain types of games where like I will have so many questions. I can't imagine somebody trying to like teach me a game where I'm just going to be like, well, what about this? What if this? Like there's a lot of stuff to cover in the rule book, and I wouldn't expect somebody to be able to sit down and teach that game unless they were playing as well. That'd be great. But like
Oh, yeah.
for me, I don't teach games often other than to like you or my brother, or if I learn the game, I'll teach it to Melissa. And so I don't have as much experience. I don't want to say like, oh yeah, I'm great at teaching games. And then when it like comes down to it and I go to teach somebody, I'm like, and then oh yeah, oh I forgot that, and that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't really toot my own horn about that.
We'll all do the best we can.
Yeah, that's true.
But we learn in one way or the other, and proof of that is coming up on this podcast because we're going to talk about a bunch of games that we've played, a bunch of cool January holidays that we can accompany with some well-known board games, and then a little bit of what's on the Board Game Geek hotness. But before any of that, if you're new to the show, we always have a couple of board game related poetic interludes,
That is true.
and we're going to do one right now.
All right. We doing which one we doing?
It's up to you, man.
You go first. You
I go
choose.
first? All
Yeah.
right. I'm going to do, I feel like we always do the haiku first. I'm going to do the limerick first today.
Okay.
There once was a game about space, but this one has a quicker pace. Roll behind your shield, then your choice is revealed. Hope you picked the right face.
Roll for the galaxy.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I that's an example of a game that I enjoy a lot, but do not do well at all. I don't own it. I've only played it with you, and I think it's the game currently that I like the most and the worst at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I keep wanting to play it despite how poorly I tend to do. So that
Right.
that means the game is good in my
That
opinion.
yeah, that's a good feel. That's how I felt when I first played Catan. When I was first
Mm,
kind of getting into the hobby, and I played Catan, and I was like, "Huh, I did terrible." But I really want to play again, just
right.
because, like, when it's not my turn, I'm not just like sitting there like, "Ugh, I gotta wait for 5 more idiots to take their turn," or
Sure.
however many people are playing. It's like, "Who? What are they gonna roll? Do I get?" That was new for me.
Right.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
It's your turn for the limerick.
Oh, right, right. Okay. There once was a new dice game in town. You roll some dice and then write something down. It's been almost 70 years since its creation, and since then have been many in iteration, but somehow the original is still around.
Mm. I would think that based on that poem, this would have to be Yahtzee.
That is correct, sir.
All right, all right. Yeah, the original roll and write,
Yep.
probably. Yeah, you're right. Definitely has spawned many, many, many family trees off of the Yahtzee trunk, and
Hmm.
even the game Yahtzee itself has been, rethemed with all kinds of IPs and
Right.
random stuff. Cool, well done. So yeah, that's a board game poem for you. One
Or
of
two.
Well, yeah, there'll be another one later. One of my board game resolutions, or for the channel, I should say, goals this year is I want to start going back because we have a good amount of these at this point. I think I want to start reading these as quick little videos on maybe like Instagram Shorts or Reels or something like that, and just seeing what if people can guess the right answer. I think that might be slightly entertaining.
Nice.
But we'll see. On to the last three. You ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
All right, let's jump right into it. So these are the last three games that Eric and I have played. So basically, the last six games between the two of us. Now, and a little while ago for our board game 10 by 10 challenge, that we got one game already played, and that was this evening, and that is the first of my last three. This is the classic Patchwork two-player tile laying puzzle game, trying to make a very neat quilt using these polyomino shaped tiles onto your quilting board, trying your very best to fill up the entire board, or as much as you can at least, before the game is over. And then you tally up how many buttons you have present on your little quilt, and then you subtract. Oh man, this game kicks your butt. You subtract 2 points for every empty square on your quilt. So tonight's game, first of all, I should mention this is the original Patchwork cover here that's up if you're watching this on YouTube. But we played the Christmas edition tonight, even though it is January. We're
Right.
still in that the 12 days of Christmas realm here. We got a couple days before that's over,
That is true.
so it counts, and it's on our 10 by 10 for that reason because we have several different copies of this game. So it'll the different versions will get to the table throughout the year, which is kind of nice. But in this one, I was able to pull off a victory, even scoring negative points. And Lauren even got the bonus tile for having the 7 by 7 grid completion. And I
Hmm.
still won Patchwork. So I struck and drew first blood on the 10 by 10 challenge for this year with a victory on Patchwork, the first of my last three.
All right. The first of my last three is actually the last two games that we played, just because we played
Okay.
two games in a row. And this is Vagrant Song. So
Mm,
this was the game that I was super excited about getting when we went to PAX Unplugged, and I couldn't get because I put it on my Christmas list, and I knew Melissa was going to get it, but I just had to wait. So we got it, and we got it played a couple of times. And all right, so first off, this was designed by Matt Carter, Justin Gibbs, and Kyle Rowan, and published by Word Miniatures. It was released this year in 2022. It plays anywhere from 45 minutes to 120 minutes and plays 2 to 4. So this is a cooperative action point allowance dice rolling game with a campaign storytelling element, and really it's got kind of like this cartoonish humor, sort of like a horror themed Steamboat Willie type
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
feel. And it's really cool, but it's not easy to learn well yet, I guess.
mm-hmm,
So it's got there's these core rules, and they're very specific at times, and everything's in the rule book. It's not that you can necessarily find it where you would expect it all the time, but everything is in there. But there's the one set of rules for the game, and then there's the other set of the rules that changes every scenario. So certain things that you finally get used to change as soon as you play a second game, and then you have to remember every time this one effect happens, what actually happens every time you play versus what happens just in this scenario, and make
right,
sure you're
right,
not
right.
forgetting certain things. So we're gonna have to play this a lot in order to really enjoy it, but it's a cool cooperation kind of thing. It's basically you have 3 coins, and you're going to play them on like move or these other things. There's going to be a haint, not a ghost, not a spirit, just a haint. He's going to be on the board, and he's going to do, I don't know, different things. Maybe he's going to come after you. Maybe he's going to run away, and you have to go to him and basically beat him up. Right? You're trying to give him humanity so that he breaks a certain amount of time so that you can save him.
Hmm.
But really, you're beating him up, and it's cool. I like it. I can't wait to play it again. It's got a really nice vibe to it, and it's gonna be a hit around Halloween, because it's probably gonna stay out on the table for a little while around Halloween time.
Yeah. So how many like plays are there in the box?
I'm not sure, but it's not
Okay.
like there's like 9 or 10. There's a lot of different
Yeah.
scenarios and things that, like, we might never even finish it. Who knows? The way
Yeah.
we play games sometimes.
Chris and Ryan over on Tabletop Express really like this one as well. I think Ryan has actually done a couple of playthroughs of it live,
Nice.
and yeah, the artwork looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool vibe for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, next up for me is a game that I believe my wife picked up randomly. I want to say maybe it was like a birthday present or something for me. And I had heard of it. I should say I had heard of its predecessor before, but never played it, never really sought it out. So this one's called The Game. So if you've ever seen this card game, it's just called The Game. We have a shorter version of that, which is called The Game Quick and Easy. From what I can gather, the difference is just the amount of cards that are in the game. So in this version of the game, you're trying to play cards in two different piles. One is ascending and one is descending. The cards go from 1 to 10, but you can't really communicate with each other. Although you can kind of hint as to what you might have. It's it's like similar to Shadows over Camelot, where you're not supposed to really say what you have in your hand, but you can kind of work your way around making it pretty obvious.
Right.
Anyway, you only have two cards in your hand at a time, and so you can either play one or two on one or both of the piles, but it has to be in ascending or descending order. The rule here that you can break a little bit is that if you play the same colored card onto the one that's last in the pile, you can basically make that card as a starting over point. So let's say you were working on the descending pile, right? And the card out was a three. There's only two more cards lower than that. You don't have either one of them. But that three is a red, and you've got a red eight. You can play that red eight, and now that pile is still counting down, but now you went all the way back up to eight. So you give yourself a lot more room. We've only played this two players. My wife and I played it. The other night at a distillery, we played it 4 times and lost every single time. And the other night, I just broke it out again, brought it over to the couch, and we played it once and we won. So that was
Nice.
cool. The game, quick and easy version. It's cool. I never would pick it up on my own, so I'm glad that my wife picked it up as a gift for me because it was pretty entertaining. I could see us breaking it out every now and then.
Cool.
You and I have talked about couch games a lot. This is just a deck of cards, and you only need room for basically two like rows of cards too. So it's not like a card game
Nice.
that starts to like take up a whole lot of room. That's my number two of the last three.
All right, my number two of the last three is a game called Astra.
Ah, this was PAX two, right?
This was at PAX. This was one of the games that I was looking for at PAX, and I found and I purchased. This was designed by Patrick Porkolab, Frigius Schoberl, and Esther Christina Sass. Published by Mindclash Games, released in 2022. Plays in 40 to 90 minutes and it plays 2 to 5 players. Now, I've only played this in the 2 player version, so I
Hmm.
cannot speak for anything else, but I liked it. It's a abstract strategy card game where, especially in the 2 player version, there is a third player that will occasionally be marking on these cards, but everybody gets a marker. You're going to have a couple of different constellations out for the that everybody can see and write on,
Hmm.
and you're going to use your one resource to mark however many in a row. Now, none of these cards, because there's a starting space, none of these cards can be completed in just one turn, just based on where the starting spot is and where you have to fill. You would end up having to go back and do a second part. So that's kind of cool. You can't just like, oh, here's a new one. I have enough stardust and just fill it up. But whoever finishes the card and gets whatever the power is, and they can use that. And it's not easy to because once you use it, you have to tap it, and to refresh it, it's not easy. You have to wait till the certain time, and then you have to rest as your action. And so it might only happen once or twice a game that you get to use the power. And then once that card is purchased, whoever has the most stars marked off, let's say there's a constellation out there, there's Orion, and I mark off like 8 stars, and then somebody else finishes it off, and I have the most stars there. I get first choice at these boons listed down on the bottoms, usually 4 of them, and it could be like 5 points, or 7 different stardust, or 7 more stardust, and I get to choose one, and then the next person, whoever's the second most, has to choose one of the remaining ones that I didn't take. And it's a cool game, but in the 2 player version, it's all right. So if I finish this, then I'm not going to get any of these boons. I'm only going to get this stupid power that I'm maybe going to use once.
Hmm.
Plus, there is a little bit of set collection based on the card, so you don't always want to finish them. You just kind of want other people to finish them, and then you get the points if you have the most stuff there. Sometimes it's a cool game. Not sure how much we love it. We're gonna have to definitely play it again some more though, because I don't really like abstract strategy games, but this one didn't feel like an abstract, because you're marking little stars on these different constellations, and there's a dog and there's a snake, and it just feels cool.
Do you think it would be a better experience with three, with not like the dummy third player, or is it
I
too
th-
hard to
I
tell?
think 3 or 4 could be. However, the more people you add, the more mean it could get. You could be now waiting for your turn for now 3 or 4 people until you're like, "Ah," like all I needed to do was just add one more, star, and I would have had,
Mm,
and so I can't tell yet, because I don't like mean games either.
yeah. So wrapping up the last three for me is an oldie at this point, but a goodie. And in true me fashion, I have not given you any of the valuable information that Eric tends to do when he lists his games. So I'm going to try to remember that. For my last pick, Silver and Gold. This is a flip and write from designer Phil Walker Harding. This one came to the US from Pandasaurus, I believe. Artist is Oliver Freudenreich, and this one came out in 2019. It plays in 20 minutes, 2 to 4 players. I think this one works well with all of those player counts for the reason, honestly, that everyone is going to be drawing the same sort of thing on their cards when a card is flipped over. You're not really waiting for a turn. It's simultaneous play. And similar to Astro, you get to write on the actual cards with your dry erase marker, which is always a cool thing. Basically, you're just trying to fill out these different shaped, maps. Kind of. I mean, the theme is pretty loose. On your cards, you know, flip over a polyomino shape and then X out that shape on your cards. Try to fill them up. When you finish one, you score those points, and you get another card to work on. And then there's a couple like other little symbols that make you get extra points, like some gold coins and some X's let you cross off some extra squares here and there. Play over 4 rounds. This one plays real quick. And another easy one to take with you. It's very portable if you want to play out somewhere for sure. Yeah, this is one that we demoed, I think, I guess. Well, yeah, 2019. So a couple of packs unplugs ago, and we bought it right away because we really enjoyed it. I am a little surprised that there hasn't been any kind of mini expansion for this game yet at this point,
I agree.
right? I feel like
Eh,
it just needs some more cards and maybe like
Yeah,
a new symbol or something.
I'm surprised they haven't either done that or put like reskinned it.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
just
point too.
made it like a Christmas version or like whatever.
Well,
Because
yeah, I
this is
mean,
a great game and it's so
yeah,
tiny and there's not really a lot going on in terms of theme. And yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done more.
super easy to teach. I mean, I even taught this to my parents and they picked it up, in a matter of minutes. So it's definitely easily accessible to new players as well. And we we tend to try to play it around New Year's Eve or on New Year's Eve every year, according to my wife. So
Oh,
maybe it's
silver
a
and gold, man. It's
silver and
either
gold.
Christmassy or it's, the New Year's
There you
colors.
go. There you go. That was the idea behind that. So that's the last of my last three. You got one more.
I do.
This
It's a
is an
good one.
exciting one. I could say, yeah, oh yeah.
This one is Paw Patrol Adventure City Lookout. This is a kids game. This was
Shock.
designed by Not Applicable,
Mhm.
published by Spin Master Limited, released in 2021. It plays 2 to 6, and the game length not applicable. So it plays in about 15 minutes. And so again, this is a children's game. There's point to point movement, and so you have this little thing in the beginning, and it has 4 symbols, but the symbols have like these red lines, sort of like trying to make it look like you can't figure out what they are. And so you get to put it inside this cool little plastic thing so you can look at it and see like through the red thing what the actual symbols are with all what you
Mm.
know what I'm talking about, like that kind of thing. And so that's a little gimmick for the kids to get excited. Oh, those are the symbols. And then you just I think you roll a die and you move that many spaces. Now the map is not a grid, but there's a lot of different pathways leading all over, and you can double back and whatever. So it's fairly easy to get to the symbols that you'll need from where you are, because the die rolls I think are like fours, fives, and sixes or something like that, or
Mm.
go where you want. It's not like you're going to roll a one. And you go there, you have to collect your 4 things, and once you get one, you flip it over. If it's a dog on the bottom, then the dog goes to the top, and if you find too many dogs, that means that the mayor kidnapped too many dogs, and then you lose. Otherwise, you got to try and get your 4 symbols, and you got to get all the way to the top, and you win. And it's it's a kids game. It's not great, and there's a lot of little pieces and everything. And my daughter loves Paw Patrol so much. So we got her. We now own like 4 different Paw Patrol board games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so this one is it's good at considering it's there's a game there, there's a gimmick there for the kids. It's colorful. There's something happening, and so we're gonna play this one a lot.
So is this your favorite Paw Patrol game?
This is my second favorite Paw Patrol game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta know what the top one is then.
Well, then we'll have to do another video next month, and I'll have to play it right
All right.
beforehand.
All right. That sounds like a plan.
Then I will tell you this: the next Paw Patrol, my favorite Paw Patrol game at the moment is a reskin of a children's game with Paw Patrol
Okay.
in it.
Got it.
All right,
That's fair.
All right, so that was our last three, and now it's time to move on to some holidays.
Holiday
I don't
time.
have any wacky days this time.
No
Like I
wacky
might,
days. Okay.
yeah, I don't have any of those weird ones.
That's all right. I will say that January is National Hobby Month. So, what better way to celebrate this beloved hobby of ours in the tabletop card game, RPG game, big
Absolutely.
umbrella
And
that
now,
we're all part of.
and now that the busy season of Christmas is finally coming to a close, and you can get your life back on track, and you have all these new board games to play, celebrate National Hobby Month by playing them.
There you go. There you go. All right, so kick us off. What do we got in January?
All right, so obviously the first day of January is January 1st, New Year's Day. A lot of stuff is closed. Most people don't have work, but a lot of people still have work.
Hmm.
And it's a fun day to celebrate National Hobby Month and play some board games. I don't really have any recommendations other than, some of the stuff you got for Christmas. Get it to the table, play it.
Yeah, I gotta say, as a general blanket statement, there's a lot of talk and social media posts that go about here are the games I'm bringing to my to New Year's Eve party or to New Year's Day. You know, play with family, play with. I feel like I always try to. I always bring games to these events, and they never really get out to
Mm,
the table. And it makes me a little bit sad. Like I brought a couple to the place that we went to for New Year's Eve to our friend's house. And, I'm not gonna be like the pusher because I'm not that type
right,
of
right.
person, right? But I don't know, I get so anxious about it that, like, I almost feel like I'm gonna be annoying if I, like, bring it up again, and I end up just not saying anything. But I'm sad because these games are awesome, and, I'm not gonna bring, like, this, like, 2-hour game and, like, "Alright, everybody sit down," and, gotta listen to me talk for, like, 20 minutes. Like, I'm not gonna bring those types of games, and I didn't. But still,
Well,
I just
it depends on the vibe, man. If the party's going good, everybody's already happy, then you got to just let it go. But if like it's starting to lag a little bit, and you're like, hey, like we're looking for something to do for a little bit, get people excited before the countdown.
yeah.
That's when you got to be like, hey, does anybody want to play a card? Just throw that out there. And if you don't get a lot of people interested, if everybody's ignoring you and they like turn their backs and keep drinking, then hey, you know
I'm
what? You
at the
tried.
wrong party.
Yep. Like, all right, you know what? Pack it up and forget about it. Just make sure you don't leave them there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already left both of our kids' pairs of shoes at this
Oh,
person's house. Yeah.
we left one of Logan's pairs of shoes in the Long Island Ocean,
Ooh.
near the ocean, but perhaps they are part of it now.
Depends what tide it was when you were there,
Yep.
I guess. Alright, what's next?
All right, so next is January 5th, which is my brother's birthday.
Ba-ba-ba.
Happy
And
birthday, Sean. It's also National Bird Day. So
there you
why
go.
not celebrate that with some talk about Wingspan? We love Wingspan. Batista loves talking about Wingspan. We just got Wingspan Asia. Haven't
Mhm.
played it yet, but it's its own two-player game that you can also decide to just take and put it all with the regular game.
Right, right.
We also for Christmas I got Melissa some playmats, which we don't have pictures of, and also some nice little bird meeples. We got 6 different sets of bird meeples to use instead of cubes,
Ah,
which we
cool.
also don't have pictures of. But we will play this game eventually. We will use those and we will take pictures.
Yes, we will definitely Wingspan is not going anywhere.
Nope.
It'll come up
Yep.
on this channel quite often. But yeah, we're excited to do all things Wingspan, see what's next. I will say, if I had to bet, what do you think? I I think we're gonna see before we see another expansion for Wingspan base game. I think we're going to see a different version, i.e., a dice game or something more
Oh,
streamlined.
I thought you were gonna say like fin span. Like
Oh,
wingspan with fish.
yeah.
Because I,
Well,
I was I was with you there. I was like, huh,
don't count
yeah,
it out.
yeah, fin span. Just a bunch of pictures of fish like that would be just as interesting, if not more interesting, to some of us, myself included. Because I just I love underwater theme. Wingspan fish, man.
So yeah, Wingspan not going anywhere anytime soon for sure. And
No.
by the way, there are plenty of other bird themed games out there. We could do a whole video on that, which Maybe someday we will.
I don't know how much I would be able to offer to that video.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a top 5 maybe.
I've got maybe a couple more, but that's it. And, and Wingspan, it doesn't only have the most art or the best art, but it has the most game so far that I've seen.
Sure.
All right, so the next day we got is January 6th, which is my wife and I's anniversary. Happy anniversary, Melissa. And it's also Three Kings Day, which is Little Christmas, the Feast of the Epiphany Day,
Mhm.
and the 12th day of Christmas. So all those things are basically the same thing.
Right.
And so why not talk about this game called 12 Days if it's the 12th day of Christmas? So this is designed by James Ernst and Mike Selinker and published by Calliope and Gamesmith. Released in 2011, plays in about 15 minutes, and it plays from 3 to 5. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about this one since I've never actually played this game since it plays 3 to 5, and
Right.
I just never bothered buying it.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge for it. But it is pretty quick and easy once you do get it out, and it is obviously based on the song with all those gifts and things like that. It is a trick taking game where basically each round you're playing cards to the middle for to win the day. So you start off by bidding for day one. Everyone's going to pick a card from their hand and then simultaneously reveal it. Lowest number card takes the trick. So you're gonna do that for all 12 days, but in between playing cards, you're actually passing a card to your left. So you are giving a gift, so to speak, to your neighbor, and then playing a card. So you do that for all 12 days, and at the end of the game, you're gonna get points for the days that you won. So if you won, day 10, that's 10 points, and day 5 is 5, etc. And then also for, I believe, majority of each day as well, because the way the deck is set up is there's only one of the first day and two of the second day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 12 days, cool little card game and really cool artwork too. It's got like a stained glass kind of feel to it. So it does look cool out on the table as well. And it's small, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. We have officially made a Christmas shelf, which is right here.
All those tiny games.
Yep, all those
Oh,
tiny
no, oh,
games
I
and
see that stupid elf box.
just a couple of yeah, do you? It's
Looks
hard to
like a
see because
ramp.
it's angled, but yeah, it's there. I think there is a non-triangle box edition of that game.
Hmm.
Not that that changes anything, but real quick before we move on, in true me fashion, I forgot things again. Um, so your anniversary, January 6th. Ours was the week before. So Eric and I got married a week apart from each other in the same year. It was quite the celebration for a couple weeks. It
Mm-hmm.
was awesome. So my anniversary was on December 30th. So happy again to
Happy
my wife,
anniversary.
Laura. And on that note, real quick, so the sixth year is uh iron and I think like candy or something like that. So Lauren got me, it's really funny because I actually looked at these and almost got them for her, which would have been even more funny, but she got me a pair of these iron dice
Ah,
that are really heavy. Like
you
we
know,
used them we used them earlier today to see who was going to go first in patchwork, and I kind of like fumbled it and it landed in the pile of buttons and they like went all over the place. Like throwing a pog.
I almost bought those for Melissa.
Nice.
And then instead, so instead, what I did was we went to PAX, and I wanted to find out what kind of metal, like the metal dice that they sell. So I
Hmm.
found like a nice big one that had nice colors, and I was like, like what kind of metal? And like nobody, I must have asked like two or three different vendors. Nobody ever had an answer for me. I finally found one, and I asked him, and the guy was like zinc. Like he answered me immediately, and I was like, damn it, like somebody finally knows, and it's zinc. I was like, all right. And then, Melissa like got distracted with something. I was like, when I ask you again, tell me iron. So I had Melissa come back. I was like, hey, Melissa, come here, come here, come here. hey, so wait, what are these dice made of again? And he's like, iron. And I was like, great, I'm gonna buy these for my wife for her anniversary.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I got. She hasn't seen it again since I purchased them, so she might have forgotten what they look like. But these things, we thought it was just going to be, because we already have like big D20s that we use,
Hmm.
and hers is pretty dark. It's like black and purple, so it's kind of tough to read it. Thought it'd be nice to get another one. This thing's like twice the size of it, so it's didn't realize it at the time. But it's a monster.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, keep on rolling here. What's next?
Next is January 10th, Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Oh yeah.
So we got a couple games to talk about here. We got Verdant and Planted. So Planted is designed by Phil Walker Harding, published by Buffalo Games, and it
Hmm.
came out this year. And it's a hand management card drafting game with some resources, and you have a bunch of cards. You keep one, you give those cards to the other person, and they take one, and then you keep on going back and forth. When you take the card, you play it, and it can either give you like sun or like a leaf or a different type of resource,
Hmm.
water or something, or it's a new type of plant that you want to get and score points for by giving it the resources it needs throughout the game. And that's it. It's a fun one. It's a really, really simple one. You can find this really easily at like Target,
Hmm.
and I would definitely check this one out.
Yes, this is actually one of the games on our 10 by 10 challenge.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to getting a lot of plays into that. It's funny, I mean, I knew of the game, but we didn't get it at this point yet. But when we went on vacation in the summer, we totally blanked and did not pack any games. And we're like, this
Hmm.
is awful. So so we went to Target and picked up Planted and two other games. So that's how that entered our collection. But yeah, man, you got Planted and Verdant, both houseplant games, and both came out this past
Yeah.
year.
So the way that I packed board games is I packed, our board game bag, and eventually I had to get rid of over half of the games because I packed way too many games, and we just didn't have space in the car. So I did yeah, the opposite of what you
Yeah,
did.
really.
Verdant, actually, we haven't played Verdant yet. We picked this up at PAX Unplugged, and we
Mhm.
have yet to explore it.
Got it. Yeah, we talked about this, I feel like in our last video,
Oh yeah, this
or we
was
did a
I think a
Kickstarter day, right?
Kickstarter,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so yeah, it is part of that AEG family trio of games, along with Calico and
right?
Cascadia, and has a very similar feel to it. But it's it's a great game by itself for sure. And I feel like if Planted didn't get on our 10 by 10, this might have snuck its way on there as well. Two great games about house plants. On January 10th, please water your plants. Well, not just that day, but on that day specifically. Maybe talk to them a little bit too.
Yeah, I got a plant back here. I got to probably water after this video. Now that you reminded me.
There you go.
Anyway, that was January 10th. We're gonna skip through a whole bunch of days, and we're going right to January 23rd. Let's see if we skipped anything good. We did actually, by the way. January 17th is Martin Luther King Day. I don't want to skip over that one. That's an important one. But we didn't really have any games to talk about playing or discussing, so we didn't make a slide for it. So, not counting that one, there's also January 20th, which we've done a video for because it's Penguin Awareness Day. And it was just, we knew a couple games about penguins and we talked about them. And if you like penguins, check it out.
Yeah, there's Ice Cool
Ice
flicking
cool.
game. There's You're a Penguin, cool stacking game.
Yep.
There's a bunch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. January 23rd is National Pie Day. Pie like
Delicious.
the food, not like the number.
But
And
rest assured, come
yeah,
March, we will be mentioning that one on our podcast as well.
that's true. I
But
love
for
pie.
the dessert one, I love pie too. I mean, come on.
Cherry pie,
I
mixed
prefer
berry pie.
pie over
What?
cake.
Oh, yeah.
Pie over cake, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Lemon
for
meringue
sure.
pie. That might be my favorite. Blueberry
Key
pie.
lime pie.
Key lime pie is okay. I prefer the lemon meringue.
Okay, okay.
I don't know that I've ever had mincemeat, and I don't know that I've ever had rhubarb. And I don't really like chicken pot pie because I don't like peas.
Okay.
But,
So probably not shepherd's pie either, then, huh?
nope, nope.
Yeah.
But
Well,
definitely have some apple pie. That's it's
well,
American.
luckily, this game Buried Treasure is only about the sweet dessert type pies, none of that crazy meat stuff.
Whew.
This is a pretty simple game. You're just going to be playing cards, or sorry, drafting cards from the center. I'm sorry, you got some info on this? You got publisher
I
stuff
do
on this?
actually,
All
not
right.
much. So this was designed by, and I quote, five dudes. It was published by Restoration Games, released in 2021. Game length 20 minutes and plays 2 to 5 and ages 7 and up. Yeah, it was just I don't have enough space to write five different names, so I just wrote five dudes, and now I'm embarrassed that I didn't put the time and effort into actually looking it up.
Well done.
Yep.
But in Buried Treasure, you're basically taking cards from a center display where you're going to be taking from the ones that are pointing to you, and there's certain cards that'll let you take from the other side. And then there's some cards that are going to let you basically steal. So there is that. If you're not into the stealing thing, maybe not your first pick. But it plays over several rounds, and each round you're going to get points for majority of having the most of each type, so to speak. So there's definitely a lot of, how many do you have of this? Then I should take this one, or this is not the right move. There's always a pretty optimal move to take, and it's not super hard to figure out what that is. So, not a complex game by any means, but if you're looking to get something to the table pretty quickly, and again, we talked a little earlier about the barrier to entrance to teaching type of games. This is a very very quick teach, and you can get this out pretty quickly. Buried Treasure, quick little dessert themed card game.
Now I will mark my words. I will probably have played this and talk about it for next year's Thanksgiving
Okay.
podcast because to pie we almost played it Thanksgiving night. Like it almost got to the table. We're like, like we can either play a Christmas game now
Mm,
or we can play, like Buried Treasure, but we have to learn it. So I think yeah, we didn't play that one.
you would have learned it pretty quickly, but that's okay.
I know we put it off and then we never got back to it, but definitely gonna play that so that we can check it out next year on Thanksgiving because pie Thanksgiving. It's
Bye.
not like there's a National Pie Day. Anyway, moving on from National Pie Day, January 29th is Curmudgeon Day. So Curmudgeon Day is a day that talks about curmudgeons. And so here is a game called Curmudgeon. Now, this game was designed by Adam Bain and Grant Lyon, published by 25th Century Games, released in 2020, plays in 30 to 45 minutes, and plays 3 to 6. Now, I don't know much about this game. It was released in 2020 and it was made by Grant Lyon. Now, Grant Lyon is he has a YouTube channel. He's one of my favorite people on YouTube. He does some board game stuff, so I really like him. He's also a comedian. I
Yeah.
did not realize that he designed a game, so that's awesome.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great content out there. He does a lot of informational stuff, but he does it in a funny way.
Yeah,
And I would love to have him on the channel. It's been in the books. We almost did it once, and just scheduling got kind of weird. But rest assured, he will be on this channel in 2023.
nice. Now, so this was released in 2020, so I'm wondering if this was like all of a sudden the pandemic hit and let's design a board game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That
Yeah,
happens a lot.
yep,
I don't know if this is so. First of all, it's 3 player minimum, which is a
right,
tough route for either one of us.
right,
It is a party game, which is fine. I don't know how. I think this would be a very group dependent game, which a lot of party games are. Because in this one, you're basically trying to play cards and add insults
right.
to each other. So definitely, definitely want to take the temperature of the crowd, so to speak, before you break this one out. But it's made by a very funny person, so I think it would be a very funny game.
I concur.
So that's curmudgeon. Don't be a grump. And if you know someone who's a curmudgeon in your life, on January 29th, maybe you could do something to try to make them less curmudgeony. I don't know if that's a word, but
I would say just go talk to them and let them be curmudgeony because maybe they enjoy that. Let them enjoy it. Let them have that moment where they can be miserable and grouchy to someone without you like fighting back, just being like, yeah, I know. It does suck. mail. You know, like damn postal workers, whatever it's about, just hop on board.
I was doing a little bit of reading on the day, and apparently, I guess the first like curmudgeon, famous curmudgeon was W.C. Fields, who was a
Who else? Oh wait, no, that's W.B. Mason. I was just thinking of like the curly mustache because they used to call me that when I had that when I was playing softball. They'd be like, "Who else?" Yeah,
No, but yeah,
we
W.C.
just edit
Fields
that
was
out.
like he was an entertainer. He was like a juggler and like a vaudeville actor, and
Oh, so he
um,
might have had that
he might have.
mustache too.
He might have.
That's
He
possible.
was, I think and again, we've mentioned this before, but so much of our knowledge of older pop culture comes from like Looney Tunes
Yep.
cartoons, right? And like people doing impressions of these people. And I'm pretty
And
sure W.C. Fields
The
was the like,
Simpsons too. They've been doing it for
well,
30
yeah,
years,
that's true, that's true. Um,
almost 40.
but I'm pretty sure he was the like, go away, kid, you bother me, guy, like that kind of guy. Yeah. Anyway, W.C. Fields.
Curmudgeons
Curmudgeons.
Day.
On to the next one.
Yep.
Is that
There
the
is no
last one?
next one. That is the last holiday.
All
So
right.
now it's time for a poetic interlude number 2.
All right.
And so this one is the haiku. All right. This isn't. Yeah, this isn't a good one. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
The mother of all, with so many expansions, it's a deck builder.
I mean, the deck builder I know that has the most expansions is probably Dominion.
That's the mother of all, man.
All right, all right. Yeah, that's arguably the first one, I think. Cool. Good one. All right. We talked a little about party games, so mine is party game themed.
Ugh.
Here we go. The party game that's not really a party game, but fun nonetheless.
One more time.
The party game that's not really a party game, in my opinion, but fun nonetheless.
Can you say it in the 575 haiku structure? Jesus, man.
The party game that's not really a party game, but fun nonetheless.
I don't like that. I don't like that you threw that at the end of the top line, man. That's lazy.
I
That
don't
is
love it either.
lazy.
Hey, man, you had the laziest of lazy ones for our Christmas special.
Yeah, I sure did, and I admitted that straight up. I got to call you out on this one because you didn't say it was lazy. Anyway, I don't know. Party game. It's not a party game. Code names.
Yes,
Okay. Still,
I thought that phrase was a pretty direct. I thought that was pretty obvious to code names.
well, I thought at first, why isn't he saying it 5, 7, 5? And then I couldn't get past that, so I couldn't think about the actual clue. And and then I asked you to do it again, and you just said it all like one sentence. I was like, oh, he's hiding something. I know it. I know it. And I started counting it out in my head. I got him. All right.
Oh,
So
syllables.
going on to the hotness. All right. So our first game in the hotness is really hot.
Yeah, it's so
Talking about
hot.
it everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. It's called Heat. That's how hot it
Oh,
is.
it's so hot. It's got
Pedal
heat in the
to the
name.
metal. I have not had a chance to play this. All right. So it is designed by Asker Harding Grainerud and Daniel Skjold Peterson. Published by Days of Wonder. Released in 2022. Plays in 30 to 60 minutes and plays from 1 to 6 players. Also, it's worth noting that Vincent Dutray does the art.
Mm-hmm.
So this simultaneous action selection and hand management race game, I don't know much about it. I know there's like upgrades. You can customize your car with
Mm-hmm.
upgrades so that you can, take the turns. And I don't have really much experience playing a racing game, but I'm looking for one. Now we have Snowtails, we have Steampunk Rally. We have a couple things. One of our favorites actually is Quest for El Dorado, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
deck building also and a race game. And we don't have like a car racing game, and we've had our eyes on a few. There's been Formula D and Formula Day or whatever,
Yeah,
and now
downforce.
this one is hot, and I just want to see. It's a really big box, by the way.
Yeah,
So
we
I
get a lot of
wonder,
track pieces, I think, in this one.
yeah, I wonder if we currently even have the table presence to get this one out comfortably.
Right, right, right.
So that's a big reason why we did not get this or ask for this for Christmas. But who knows what the year may bring.
I agree with you completely in that I feel like I could use a car racing game in my collection.
But it's got to play great with two.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the big thing because a lot of these games are designed so that they're a lot of fun for four, five, six people.
right.
Not so much one or two, or maybe even three or four. Everything's going to play for four. But like it's really got to scale for my wife and I. Otherwise, it's just a game that's going to stay in the hotness. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
able to talk much about it.
It looks really cool though.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of pictures and just a couple of people talking about it on their socials and whatnot.
It does
Uh,
almost look like on your turn, you like, I don't know, roll a die or play a card, and then whatever the number is, you move your card forward that many spaces. And
right.
then the next person goes. But then there's, oh, well, now I'm next to him and I can like slide up the side.
Yeah. And I think you can play a one-off, like one race, or there is a sort of like a season championship
Mm,
set of races that you could do as
cool.
well.
I
Uh,
wonder if that's when the car customization comes in like a Grand Prix as opposed to
probably,
like during the game.
probably, yeah. That's almost like a yeah. It's almost like an NFL like season mode and like Madden or something,
Right.
right? Cool. So that's pedal to the metal. Crash.
Yep.
All right, what's
I
next?
Number two. So this is Marvel Champions, the
Ah,
card game.
I've heard of that.
Now, we've talked about this. I don't know really why this is on the hotness. I would assume it's because the X-Men Mutant Genesis mini expansion came out somewhat recently and it has
Yeah.
a bunch of new X-Men villains. And now so that came with Colossus and Shadowcat. And now there is Jean Grey and Cyclops and Wolverine and Storm and Gambit and Rogue are coming out soon if they're
Hmm.
not already out by the time this video comes out. And this everybody's getting excited. There was a little bit of a lull there where there was they started putting out characters where it was kind of like, ugh, do I even want these characters anymore? Just for like all the cards that it may come with.
Hmm.
And so we were buying everything, everything, everything. And then, like a few of them came out that were just like, eh, I just I don't care about this character anymore. Am I done with this game? Am I over it? But then they came out with the X-Men. It came back fresh.
That's right. Nothing's gonna grab you back in like some X-Men. That's for sure.
Absolutely, especially at my age, right? Growing up with X-Men the animated series.
Hmm.
So yeah, so this is bringing people's attention back to Marvel Champions, and I'm excited. I love the X-Men.
I do love that cover. It looks really cool. That's a great looking Sentinel there.
Yeah, I was a little. I don't know if they chose great with Colossus and Shadowcat,
Okay.
but I'm okay with it. I
So
feel
it's
like
just those two in that box?
just those two in that box. Now,
Mm,
this is not a base game. You have to buy the base game in order to play. This is just like an
right.
expansion that has a bunch of villains that you can play, but you really do have to get that base game set, which is not just X-Men.
Right.
Um,
So that
I
being
do
said,
now.
you can play with like Spider-Man and play against these
Yeah.
new villains in this. Yeah.
Yep. For the record, I love Colossus as a character and Shadowcat. I thought that it would be Wolverine, right? I just assumed that like who's the most popular person that we're gonna we'll do like either Wolverine and Jean Grey, great, but they're not doing it wrong. Like I'm glad they chose those two because otherwise maybe Shadowcat would never see the light of day.
Mm.
Would she be able to hold up a solo pack? I don't know. So, the X-Men, the animated series, originally was supposed to be Kitty Pryde and the X-Men.
Really?
Yeah, but then for some reason they axed that. They got rid of Kitty Pryde and they were like, oh, well, we'll have Jubilee. We'll create Jubilee. Or no, I think she was in the comic. We'll use her and we'll make her the new, like kid. We'll make her a mall rat and try to. And so they did. And it was fine. Like I never really gave two farts about Jubilee, the character, but I kind of like Shadowcat. So I would have preferred seeing her.
Mm.
But yeah.
Cool. Now,
Yep.
more Marvel Champions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one more hotness.
One more hotness game. This one is the Touring Machine.
That's certainly hot. Seeing this a lot as well.
And this is designed by Fabian Greidel and Johan Levitt and published by Le Scorpion Masque. Released in 2022, game like this 20 minutes and plays 1 to 4 game.
It's competitive deduction type thing. You're trying to get the answer first, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, you know a little more about the history of what this thing is. So go ahead
Uh,
and tell me that.
not enough to brag about, but so I guess Alan Turing, right, is the guy that created the Turing machine, which is basically this machine or whatever that was kind of like the first computer. It just had a bunch of numbers that you could, didn't, I don't think it took electricity. It was just
No,
this,
it was a punch cards, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just some sort of algorithm or whatever where you could just put in numbers and get other numbers that make sense. And so whatever the science behind that whole thing was, they made that into a game where they're like, hey, like there's this thing that already works. Let's just, let people try to figure out, the code. And, then there's unlimited possibility. What are there, like over 7 million different like puzzles to solve or something
That's
crazy
what on
like that?
BGG it says. Yeah, it says it offers more than 7 million problems, ranging from simple to mind-staggeringly complex combinations, making the gameplay practically endless. I could see myself getting very frustrated because I feel like I just wouldn't do well in this game.
I could see myself being very frustrated if I had to be the playtester for for 7 million different possible outcomes to make sure that, yep, this one's right. Yep,
when
this
when
one's
the
right.
when one of the categories on BGG is math, I'm a little I'm a little put off. I'm not gonna lie.
That is true.
I mean, I would try it. But, I'll try almost anything once. But as much as this is on the hotness on my personal radar,
I think it's a really cool concept.
yeah.
Like, it's not like they created the Turing machine or anything, but like they're using it and they're using it, to get people to think. And like that's
Oh
sort
yeah.
of what, like the first thing was created to do anyways. So I think it's unique, it's different. I
It's
would love
definitely
to check
unique
it
and
out.
innovative. Yeah.
I don't think it's for us, especially if some of these puzzles are going to be mind staggeringly difficult. We're going to be like, nope, this.
Yeah. But there's definitely an audience for it. I'm sure it'll do very well. So that's the last of the hotness.
Hmm.
So we're winding down here, folks. Before we get any words of wisdom to part from Eric, we do want to say Happy New Year once again, and some goals for the channel. Mentioned we still have some designer debuts coming your way, more podcasts once a month, and hopefully some more Kickstarter Day videos as well.
Let me just cut you off real quick right there for Kickstarter Day. I
Do
don't
it.
know that we're going to have a video soon, so I did want to mention this because I wrapped it up and gave it to my kids for Christmas. I got Board Game Day in the mail from Ambi Valdez,
Mhm.
and it's cool. And I'm not just saying this, right? Like I'm not, there's no reason for me to like be like, oh, it's such a great book. If it's not, my daughter, we're playing this game, and she's pointing out the games in the background that we
Mhm.
own. Like one of the pages is like my first construction site, and we're reading it, and she's getting excited about it. She's like, look, like we own that game. I was like, that's right, like that's really cool that Ambi and whoever the artist was, I can't remember the name. They were like, hey, like let's use a bunch of these games that are recognizable because kids are going to pick up on that. She was
Right.
right, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's Rachel. I'm forgetting her last name, but she does the semi co-op web comic,
Okay.
and her last name is escaping me now. But Ambi was a guest on Designer Debut. Rachel Kramer, actually. There you go. So yeah, we have that one as well, and it's really awesome. Hope to see more from Ambi in the future in regards of kids books. I think there'll be some more going on there for sure. All right, friends, that's going to wrap it up for the January podcast. leave us some love. Make sure you give a thumbs up to this video. And you know what? The best thing you can do for us is just share. If you tell someone that has never heard of the channel before, we're trying to get our subs up, trying to break that 200 barrier this year. That's the goal. We're
So
at
you do have a New
one.
Year's resolution.
Well, it's a goal. I can't, you know, I can only do so much to achieve that goal. It's kind of up to the public, in the matter of speaking.
We just got to get better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here. We'll see you very soon. Have a great January. Until next time, adios.
Happy New Year. See you
Bye.
for Valentine's Day.